As always, our Iowa men's basketball postgame coverage is proudly brought to you by Brad Van Meter and his State Farm Insurance team down in Des Moines. Of course, Brad can help you with all kinds of different policies. It gets you a free quote on auto insurance, motorcycle, boat, renter's insurance, homeowners, whatever the case may be. Give Brad and his team a call. They can help you save loads of money, and their auto rates went down this past fall. And just give them a call, totally free, and explore the opportunities at your disposal to protect your family and get the best rate out there from a bunch of Hawk fans down at State Farm in Des Moines at Brad Van Meter's office on Fleur Drive. Again, Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team in Des Moines is located at 4229 Fleur Drive. You can call them at 515-256-6480, 515-256-6480. Visit him online at www.bradvanmeter.com. Our show is also brought to you by Big Grove Brewery. Of course, they are the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes and the official watch party headquarters of the Hawkeyes. Check out all their beers, their delicious food, and a great time. TVs everywhere in their tap rooms across the state of Iowa and also now in Omaha. It's a great time at Big Grove Brewery. Visit biggrove.com for more information. Well, now that we're through our very necessary sponsor plugs, this is going to be a very difficult show for me to come on here and do because I'll be honest, this is probably the low point of this entire season for me, for somebody who covers the team in a bit of an unorthodox manner like we do here. I say we because we've had a number of people. We don't have anybody in State College today, but we've had people for this organization from the Hawkeye of the Storm involved in press conferences, involved in in-game coverage there at Carver. And frankly, I really don't know where to start here. I really don't know where to start here. I don't want to use the word unacceptable. That's probably tossed around there way too much. But I'll say this, man. This is, like I said, this is the low point. 71-69 loss at the worst team in the conference. And frankly, right now, I don't really want to hear about how Penn State was competitive against teams. Like they had 2 wins in this league. Am I right? 2 wins, or was it 3? Is it 3? Let me pull up the Big Ten standings. I don't really care at this point. They're the worst team in the league. They're now sitting at 3-15. If this has updated, yes, 3-15. So they were 2-15 in the league heading into this game. Ridiculous. Iowa has struggled at State College against Penn State in recent years. This is I don't care. Like, I don't care about that's a totally different era, totally different players, really on both sides, right? So I don't really care about the history there. The reality is this is a very, very bad Big Ten atmosphere. There's nobody at the game, okay? And I get it. Sometimes that can actually play to your disadvantage as the road team because you're expecting some energy, even if it's negative energy, to be there. And it just never was there. And yet, Iowa gives up 64% from the field. I mean, good Lord. 64% from the field, 60% from 3. Okay, it was basically, it was even on the glass, 24 apiece. They actually forced 15 Penn State turnovers, almost doubled up Iowa in turnovers, and yet Iowa still lost to the worst team in the Big Ten. I don't even know what to say here. I really don't know what to say. You give up 64% to the worst team in the league that's now 12-17. And they were up 5. It was 67-62. In fact, Big Grove's big play of the game was Cooper Koch's shot fake, drive, and left-handed field goal, plus the foul, which put them up by 3. The and one put them up by 3. And I thought, okay, all right, let's lock down. And they had, I believe, if you want to count offensive rebound opportunities, which the shot clock, of course, resets to 20, they had, I believe, at least 4. By the way, if you're going to call the phone line, don't call and then hang up, or I'm just not going to answer. I'm not. Yeah, we're not doing that today. Call, or you're going to lose your place. So, yeah, they had at least 4 opportunities at possessions to take. I believe it was at that point 67. Was it 67-64 or 67-62? But they had at least 4 possessions with a lead there late. One ended up in a turnover. Bennett Sturts drives, gets the ball stripped, kicks the ball out of bounds. They got an offensive rebound off of a Brendan Hazen hoist from 3. You know, he played a lot of that second half. And look, I have a lot of respect for Brendan Hazen. He's come in from Kansas State, played a ton there. It seems to be a great teammate. Obviously has struggled to latch on here. Is it just me, or does it seem like every time he plays, they lose? I mean, look, I don't know if maybe it's because that's Ben McCollum looking for answers, right? Like, they're not playing well. Like, it's the chicken or the egg thing, right? Did they lose because Hazen's not giving them good minutes? Or is it they lose because they're not playing well and Hazen just can't give them enough when they're not already playing well, if that makes sense? But it seems like every time he plays at Minnesota, home Purdue, today against Penn State, I'm sure we can get some other examples, and he don't play that much. It seems like every time Iowa loses. So there's that. But he hoists the 3, misses it. Cale Combs had a runner, front rim. I really have no idea what to say here other than the soapbox that I'm on right now. We're gonna take this call and see if we can make sense of all this. Unfortunately, Coach Close is out. Well, actually, fortunate for him, he's out on a golf course in South Carolina. He may be calling us, but I will be anxious to talk to him as soon as he watches this game in full, which I'm guessing he did not. So, all right, let's go to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Who is this?
Not too bad, Ali. I just wanted to say Bennett Sturts is our main offensive threat. He's pretty much our only offensive threat. For him to only shoot 15 times in this game, and also many times he's way too passive and just tries to play too much within the offense. He needs to take control of the game, and I want to see him shoot 20, 25 times a game. So I'm going to criticize him for this loss. I mean, he needs to take a lot of the blame.
Yeah, I mean, 6 of 15, 16 points. He's been so good of late. I'm sure you'd agree with that, caller. But, yeah, I mean, 2025, for a team that's as limited offensively as this team is, you would think that a guy who's as good as Bennett Sturts is on a team like this would probably be averaging closer to, I don't know what his average field goal attempt number is per game, but I would think, yeah, at least 20. 25 is a lot. They slow things down. I mean, they only shot 57 as a team, but yeah, I mean, hey, you did say he's their only. Cooper Koch played really well in that first half. Had made 5 threes, so that's positive.
Yeah.
And he had our play of the game. But I agree, and I'll say this too. You got that 5-point lead late. If you've watched this show long enough, you've heard me talk about my frustrations with this team's late game offense, because what you said is true about Sturts needing to take over in big moments, but at the same time, I don't like their late game offense, because it seems like in general they don't get good shots, they struggle to move the ball, and they become very like the ball just sticks. And thankfully Bennett Sturts was able to drive there and make a play off the dribble. But that's also part of the problem here. We can talk about defense all we want. The defense was not good today whatsoever, but like you gotta score on one of those possessions down the stretch. And to me, when they get a lead late in games and they need to either close out, or when they're behind and they need to close out, they struggle. I don't know what it is. The ball just sticks. And I was a little. I'll give Ben McCollum a criticism for a second. I know it's just one play in the game and it was 1.5 seconds left. I'm shocked Alvaro Figueres was not on the floor with 1.5 seconds to go in the game. With his length, when you need to get the ball across half court and have a guy who can maybe catch a jump pass or catch a pass in the air, come down with it and get a shot off. I was shocked he wasn't in the game in that situation, but that wasn't the problem tonight. There was a lot more involved. So I get your frustration. If anything, that's the coaching staff that needs to make that clear that Bennett needs to be taking more shots.
Well, yeah, and I think this is a pattern that we've seen in many games where at the end of the game, their offense is stagnant. It's not doing anything. At that point, you need. I'm sorry, but Bennett Sturts, I don't know if he has the killer instinct, as they say, Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark would not let that happen. She would not. She would take control of the game, the end of the game, and win the game. That's what she would do. Bennett Sturts is way too passive, especially at the end of the game. He needs to say, "Give me the ball, let me create something, let me make something happen." Not just be part of the offense. He's not one of the guys. He wants to be an NBA first round pick. He needs to take control of the game. So that's I'm mad about it, and that's my criticism.
So let me ask you, caller, because we got a couple of other people who are on hold, but I want to get everybody's opinion on this. What is your opinion? At this point, 18 games into conference play, you've got 1 week of regular season play left. To me, it seems like every time I think I figured this team out, I go right back to not figuring them out. So this is, like I said at the outset, this is the low of the low. This is as low as it gets. So you tell me, caller, what is your opinion on a macro level, overall, holistically, of this team right now?
We're a good but not great team. So we can maybe win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. If we're playing the 1 seed in the second round, it's not going to happen. But we're a good team. We're not a great team. We have serious flaws.
Honestly, not to cut you off, but I want to interject real quick, because I appreciate your statement about playing a 1 seed. This game, and for the people out there, like I see Ryan Brown in the chat, is Iowa safely in the tournament? Yes. I said they're going to make the tournament. Okay, I said that after the Ohio State game. They're in. But now with this loss, this was the one loss you couldn't have if you wanted to have any chance at getting to the 6th line. And frankly, I think it's going to be almost impossible to get to the 7 now. Frankly, if we're talking about avoiding a 1, they probably have to lose out. That's the unfortunate thing now. Like, I think they probably have to lose to Illinois and Michigan and then lose in the first game of the Big Ten tournament to get them down to 10. Now, maybe I'm wrong on that. And I'm not saying you want to go to 10, but I certainly don't think you want 8 or 9. But you also don't want to go into the Big Ten or the NCAA tournament with 4 straight losses. This was a bad loss in so many different regards. But go ahead, finish your thought there. I apologize for interrupting you.
But yeah, so it kind of reminds me of the football team in recent years. Maybe not this past year, but like recent years, where the football teams were really good on defense, but we're just lacking on offense. And it kind of puts you in a situation where you're a good team, but when you're playing the really good teams, you're going to struggle. And I think with the offense where it is, and only having one main offensive player, you can't get to the higher level. You can't get to a 6 seed, 5 seed. They're going to need more offense. But I also want to say you guys do a great job. Love the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate
that.
Yeah,
yep, absolutely. Appreciate that, man. And I'll say this. I mean, my only response to that, I'm not saying they're not a good team. I think they are a good team. But when you say, well, good teams are going to, struggle against great teams and beat other teams. This was the worst. I mean, I know upsets happen and I'm beating a dead horse. This was the worst team in the league by the numbers. The numbers say this was the worst team in the league. And, oh, by the way, Iowa also lost to one of the other worst teams in the league, Maryland, who's bottom 4, bottom 5 in the league on the road. So I don't know what confidence level Iowa fans should have about this team's ability to win away from home in the NCAA tournament. They've won away from home this year. Indiana, Washington, Oregon competed really well against a phenomenal Iowa State team and lost. Got blown out by Michigan State on the road. What are some other road games that they've played? Lost at Minnesota, another team that's not very good. So I don't know. I mean, Tough Tech Coatings in the chat. This freaking team is so inconsistent. It's frustrating. I don't know how else you describe it. It's as inconsistent as I've seen an Iowa team, and I don't. It's hard for me to put it into words because it's a brand new staff and brand new group. Like, this is not the Fran era, and their inconsistency. Like, Fran teams, it felt like lost the same way over and over again, right? So maybe there was less room for up and down with his teams. I mean, some of it depended on, did you make shots or did you not make shots, right? Because they're not going to rebound well. They're not going to defend well. So if you shoot well, you have a chance. If you don't shoot well, you don't. But they also lost games because their defense was so horrendously bad. Even if they were making shots, they'd lose games and give up over 100 points, right? We saw that last year. But this team, they'll have a game like 3/4 of the Ohio State game where they play terrific defense, and then they play this Penn State team, and they're horrible. I mean, horrible. I don't know. I don't want to hear any other opinion on that. If you have an opinion, you can express it. I don't want to hear it, and I'm not going to accept it. 64% from the field for Penn State, 60% from 3. That's horrible. That's horrible defense. And I go back and watch it. 3s and shots around the rim. Couple of contested 2s in that second half, but Coach Gary Close always talks about this, folks. Good defenses don't give up shots at the rim. They don't give up open 3s. And if you go back and track, he talked about this in the Wisconsin postgame. If you go back and track all the shots Wisconsin made against Iowa in Madison, I want to say like 90% of them were at the rim or from 3. That's not a good sign. And I kind of excused Iowa to some extent after the Wisconsin game because I said, look, like what Jess Settles, we had him on that game. We had Gary on. What they both said, they're playing a Wisconsin team who everybody can shoot, right? They got weapons everywhere, bigs that stretch the floor, and then they have a really quick guard. That's a recipe for disaster. Now, Ben McCollum talked about it after that game. They did not execute the scout. I believe him. I don't know. Like I'm guessing he's going to say they didn't execute the scout today. I mean, how could you possibly argue unless it was just a horrifically bad scout? So whoever has the scout needs to be put on a suspension. But like, my point is I could defend the Wisconsin game or at least explain it. I don't know how to explain this. I really don't know how to explain it. And the problem is, I guess the problem and the good thing is they have an opportunity to flush it because they play 2 really good teams, but man, it's going to be super hard to flush it with with Michigan and Nebraska on deck. We had some people that tried to call in earlier and then hung up the phone. So folks, the way to be a part of the show, if you're trying to call by phone, is to call the number, wait on hold. So call on a different device. Keep watching the show on your other device, and I'll let you know when we're going to the phone line, and then get the phone back up to your ear. But the number is 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601. All right, let's go back to our phone line. We've got John Erland here. John, have you ever called in before?
Hey, Corey. I go by JSE Hawk on the board. I'm in the Discord. Calling you this afternoon from Georgia. Good afternoon. Hey, the biggest part in the game to me, we're up 5. We go down. We get 3 offensive rebounds.
Correct.
We continue to jack threes.
Yep.
Bennett gets the ball on the 4th chance. He drives. Ball goes off his knee out of bounds.
Was it
we
3?
Get 4.
Was it 3 offensive rebounds?
I think it was 3. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going back and looking at the game again. It was just too painful. Too painful, but we could have gotten up 7 with a deuce or 8, and and then after that, but that is the biggest part in the game, and I think. I don't know what else. I mean, long term, I go back, and as upset as I was, I'm really kind of calm right now. Because I go back and I still want to tell myself this is year 1. Are there any excuses? No, there's not. There's not. It's simply a loss. Penn State's guys are on scholarship too. We could go to all kinds of different plays in the game, and those are all put up on the Discord when we've got our blood boiling over there. But after the game, I go back to that one spot, and that's the then we couldn't make a shot, and we couldn't get into our actions, as Kyle Spence said. We go into 10 seconds, and how can you get into your actions or your flow? It's frustrating, but that's basketball, and let's move on and coach them up and play the game.
You got no other choice at this point in the year, John. I mean, you just have to flush it and move on. I like I said, I'm dumbfounded like everybody else is how you go out there and lose. I know it's the Big Ten; you can lose to anybody, but you do have to just flush it, because if they lose these last 2 games and they go into the Big Ten tournament with 3 straight losses, that doesn't bode well. And it very easily, you can very easily lose these last 2 games. These may be the 2 toughest games all year. You could argue they are. Like Michigan, you could argue is the best team in the league, and then at Nebraska is as difficult of a road trip as any. So this is a bear to finish the season.
Yeah, and let's just take them one game at a time, and and enjoy the season. I still think we're getting into the NCAA. Am I as mad as anyone? Sure I am, but big picture, we have to go back to what it really is, and let's move forward. I'll let other callers jump in. Have a great day.
Hey, John. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we appreciate John, and John is a member of our Discord, so we appreciate that as well. Now, speaking of a phone line, we have on the phone former Iowa assistant coach Gary Close with us. Gary, can you hear me?
Sure can, Corey.
All right, Gary. I know you were out chasing a little white ball, which was probably the better. You picked the better portion today, as opposed to watching an Iowa team that's, I think, into the NCAA tournament with flying colors, lose to the worst team in the league out of 18 teams, expanded league. I don't know how much you caught of the game. I can give you the stats, but I guess I'm looking for some positivity and for reason for optimism after looking at a box score in which Iowa gave up 64% from the field, 60% from 3 against the worst team in this conference.
Well, that's how you get beat. They talk about the 3-point shot being a great equalizer, and I think it's right there. And then obviously, anytime you allow a team to hang around, and you're on the risk that they make one more play than you do, and we've seen it in the Big Ten all year long. This team almost beat Michigan there. In the same kind of deal. And Michigan, made enough plays to win, I think, by 2 at Penn State. So you let them hang around, all of a sudden they get a little bit of confidence, and you let them make some threes, they get even more confidence, and then you got trouble on your hands, and that's kind of what happened. I saw most of the first half, and I actually turned my phone on out here for the last 3 minutes or so, maybe 2 minutes.
Well,
but I missed the when they went to that dry spell.
Sure, but the last, I don't know when they took I guess I can pull it up. Cooper had our play of the game. Big Grove's big play of the day was Cooper Koch's shot fake, drive, and then the finish with the left hand plus the foul. In fact, he's going to be our player of the game as well. I thought Coop was really good, made some big shots in that first half, and made a big play there, put them up by 3. Iowa ended up taking a 5-point lead, Gary, and I'm guessing maybe you didn't catch it, but Iowa was up. John just brought it up. He called in. Iowa was up 5, had a single possession where I believe they got 4 chances off 3 offensive rebounds. And it just seems to me like, and I've talked to you about it before, late game offense is such a struggle for this team. It feels like the ball sticks. They're so dependent on Bennett Sturtz in general. But in a game like today, Bennett didn't even, like, he went off for 16 points on 6 of 15 shooting, but they got 18 from Cooper. They got 8 from Manyow, 8 from Combs, 6 for Banks. Fulgaris had 5, so they're pretty balanced everywhere else. But then late in the game, it seems like they struggle to get good shots, and when they do, they don't go down. And I don't know, how do you explain that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, like you mentioned, when they depend on one player, then you get a tendency to stand around and watch him try to make a play. Which he made a great play there at the end to tie it. But yeah, but that's not totally uncommon. You get into tight situations and the game's winding down. It kind of happens. You don't want it to happen, but I, as you mentioned, I think that's certainly what might have been a problem. But when you let a team like Penn State shoot the percentage they shot,
right,
that's giving them ammo to beat you, and especially from 3. They shoot their normal percentage from 3 or a little above it, then they probably win fairly easily. So that's where, a team that prides itself on defense, I think that's where the game was lost. But, you mentioned it as I was listening coming on. You know this stuff better than I do. It's a bad loss. There's no question. But if they can win one of these next 2 games, it, in my opinion, it pretty much erases it. Because the win will be so big where the 2 teams are playing, it could offset a bad loss. So yep. I think you learn by it, and you forget it. You got to learn by it, or the same thing will keep creeping back up. But then you got to get you got to get on a task, because Michigan is what they did to Illinois last night was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So. Maybe they're catching them in a good time. They've clinched the league. They've probably clinched a 1 seed. They don't have a whole heck of a lot to play for. Maybe they get them at a pretty good time, and they can spring an upset.
You and I have discussed defense ad nauseum. This has been McCollum's forte. I know it's year 1. He's playing with, he's coaching with a bunch of guys that he's kind of had to fit some square pegs through round holes, if you will. And he rode Brendan Hazen for a long time today. And I thought Brendan struggled. I mean, if he's not hitting shots, he's not giving you a ton. And he was 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. I didn't like that last shot that he took inside. That's just not his game.
Yeah.
I guess let me ask you this question, Gary. You saw the last play, Branjan, whatever this person's name in the live chat is. He brings up the play there at the end with 1.5 coming out of a timeout. He makes the comment, can't throw that pass in the backcourt running away from the hoop, and you had, Brendan Hazen stumbling. I mean, what's the point of even throwing that where he's, even if he wasn't stumbling, he's not going to get a shot off 3/4 court. I don't understand. Yeah. What's the play call there, Gary? Could you tell?
Yeah. I couldn't. It looked like they were going to try to get, somebody coming across hard, get one dribble and let it go. But, they may not have anticipated Penn State not putting a guy on the inbounder, which I think is a mistake. And so I would have liked to have seen a longer pass, because there was nobody guarding the inbounder. You can make a pretty good throw then. And then you have enough time to catch, turn, and shoot it. Probably don't have enough time to catch it, pass it, and let somebody else shoot it. But you could get a closer shot. You could throw it all the way to the basket.
Right.
If you have somebody that's accurate, and they had no defensive pressure on the inbounder, which I was surprised by, especially with a second and a half left. You figure they're going to throw it long. That's all the more reason to put pressure on the inbounder. But no, it wasn't well executed. Kind of typified how they played down the stretch.
I'll say this about coaching. I don't understand how you don't. I understand what you're talking about, trying to get the ball all the way down the court may not have been the play there, but I don't understand how you don't have Alvaro on the court with 1.5. He's your second best offensive player. He's 6'10". How is he not on the court to catch a long ball?
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
So,
I do.
Yeah, and 64%. Gary, we've talked about defense a lot this year, and I made the comment too at the outset, and you probably heard it. They struggled this year. They've struggled with a lot of quick guards, whether you're talking about Maryland or Zoom Diallo. It was at Washington. Go down the list. They've struggled against quick guards. Indiana, but today, and even Wisconsin, right? Quick guard, and you've talked about it. They can spread you out because they got bigs that can shoot. I don't know what Penn State did. What did Penn State bring to the table today that Iowa struggled with so much, other than a guy in what's his face, not Stewart, but Reed, who put up 25 on 9 of 12 shooting? What was the problem defensively?
Yeah, well, I probably didn't see enough to the answer. I mean, I look at the 3-point percentage and I'm going, that just can't happen. I don't know what their team 3-point, what they shot from 3, and even what they shot from 2. I think their 2-point percentage is over 60. That's just bad defense. I think the coach would be the first to tell you that. Whether they were late getting out the shooters, or they're getting beat off the dribble, or just not ready to go. It's a good question, but I think that's where they lost. I think they had, as much as they struggled at times, I think they had enough offense to win a game, and they did a good job on the boards. But to give up those percentages, now you allow a team to hang around and they get confidence, and hey, we can win this game. It's not like we got a lot of possessions left. We got a few possessions left. We win most of them, we're going to win. And that's what they did.
How concerning is that a team that predicates itself on defense, and head coach that's all about defense, can't pride itself this late in the year against the worst team in this league?
Yeah, I think it's a concern. I think they got to be disappointed, with their effort. I mean, you're down to 3 games left in the year. You want to be playing the best basketball you can possibly play in, and you're anxious to get out there. You don't have that many pops left,
right? And
to not to play your best, no matter who you're playing, that's disappointing. So, but you're gonna have to put it behind you, because you got maybe the 2 best teams in the league coming up.
Right.
And Nebraska playing, they got senior day. That's going to be a bear. And obviously Michigan is incredibly talented. What they did to Illinois last night was they just dismantled them. They got their hands full these next couple games. But as I mentioned, if they can win one of them, then I think it pretty much erases this game, and maybe even a little more, because those 2 teams are, they're top 10 teams.
To me, I made the comment as well, Gary, that this is the low point in the year, in my opinion. This game is the low point of the year because it is so late. They've been through so much, and it seems, just when you feel like this team has rounded a corner and is not going to be susceptible to a performance like this, oops, here's another one. And that's why I think it's as deflating as any, because just when it feels like you figure this team out, something like this happens. And so even if they win one of these last 2 games, Gary, I'm going to be going into postseason play thinking, I don't know what to expect from game to game.
Yeah. No, I think there's some validity to that. I think when you've got a team that doesn't have a ton of quickness, doesn't have a ton of size, is not overly athletic, then you've got to be really synchronized defensively. And when you're not, then teams can take advantage of you. So, that's obviously what happened today. Hopefully it's a learning experience, and I'm sure they'll watch some tape on what happened and what transpired, and then they got some young guys that are going through this first time, but it's late in the year now. We can't be you can't be saying that over and over, because it's
exactly
we're in the final stretch here. So you want to go into that Big Ten tournament. You got a chance to win the thing. You want to be playing well. If you're not playing well, you don't. So
hey, Gary,
it'll be anxious to see how they rebound from this.
Did you watch the Ohio State game or any part of it?
No.
Okay.
Oh, the
Iowa.
Yeah, I think I watched some of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's they played pretty well, especially in the second half.
As I say, 3/4 of that game, I thought they were phenomenal on defense, and that's a much more that's a much more talented offensive team in Ohio State.
Yeah. Well, you always throw out the possibility of not being ready to play, and when you have younger guys on the team, it's that kind of stuff can happen. So So
all right, Gary. Well, we appreciate you being here. I know it's a big week in front of Iowa, but boy, if I guess the only is it still possible, even though they've had bad losses at Maryland, at Minnesota, is it still possible that this could be the loss that wakes them up? Is there still a possibility that this could be the turning point in trying to find some little bit of sliver of goodness here or possibility, Gary?
Well, that's what good teams do. They learn from experiences, especially sometimes you need to get really knocked on your head. Coach might be saying it and you don't totally buy into it. Oh, yeah, he's always ragging. But this one will, because they've got no business losing to that team. I mean, it's a road game, so that's a bad place to play. There's nobody there and quiet, and it's just, that's when you gotta find a way to, get yourself ready to go. And learning experience, they didn't do it to the best of their ability, so they shouldn't have any problem getting up for these next two games.
All right, Gary. Enjoy your time relaxing, and we'll hope to talk to you this next week.
All right, sounds good, Corey.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Gary Close joining us from his little vacation site, so we appreciate Gary for being here. Dennis wants to know why Hazen gets so many minutes. I don't know. When he doesn't play, people wonder why he's not playing, and then when he does play, they wonder why he is playing. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I said at the outset, I will say it's not just an anecdote. I gave you a number of examples, but my recollection tells me that it seems like when he plays, they lose. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's the reason they're losing. But he's certainly not doing enough to help them win. I mean, but that shouldn't be placed on one player. And they got some issues right now. And I guess that's what I would, as Gary was kind of talking me down off the cliff, so to speak, I guess that's what I would say at this point. The only thing that I can say to try to give people some level of confidence and optimism is they got 2 games against marquee opponents coming up. If they can win one of those, or in some crazy world, win both, nobody's going to be talking about this. I don't believe that gives you reason to think, oh, they're not susceptible to bad losses. I'm going to have a hard time trusting this team against anybody the rest of the year. Now, there's a good chance they'll play only good teams from here on out. They play 2 elite teams to end the regular season. We'll see who they play in the Big Ten tournament, and then they're going to play only good teams in the NCAAs. So they won't play another Penn State. I mean, it's very unlikely, right? Unless it happens in the Big Ten tournament, it's very unlikely they'll play another crappy team. But that's what's so concerning, is how do you play this poorly on the road? And I always hear the mantra, defense travels, right? I mean, they played great defense against Ohio State. I understand struggling on offense, but they didn't really struggle on. I mean, I know Sturts didn't shoot the ball great, but Koch shot the ball great. They shot 46%. They were 89% from the foul line, made 8 threes, 9 threes. That's not bad. I mean, they should be able to win with those numbers handily against Penn State, especially when Penn State gives the ball up 15 times on turnovers. So I just, if there's any sliver of hope or reason for optimism here, It's that maybe, just maybe, somebody will get angry, angrier than they have been after losses against Maryland and against Minnesota. And they'll just be like, look, this is stupid. Like, we can't beat Nebraska and blow out Ohio State, and then 3 days later, get our pants pulled down at the worst team in this league. That's embarrassing, and we got to be embarrassed. I'm sure McCollum has preached that, but at some point, the players got to step up to that as well and not let it happen again. So I put some blame on Ben McCollum. I know everyone wants to play the blame game, but at the same time, man, player leadership needs to step up here, and that's got to be on Bennett Sturtz. That's got to be on Cam Manuel, Tavion Banks. Those are the guys. Cale Combs, he's a starter. Robert Daggett brings up 7 minutes without a field goal. Is that official? That's probably accurate. Yeah, the offense just went away. You get up 5, offense goes away, you can't do anything. So let's go to our phone line. We got a number of people here who still want to chat. We got Vincent on hold. Vincent, welcome to the show.
Hey, Corey, how are you doing?
I cannot hear you, Vincent.
Oh,
Your
you can't hear me?
mic is unmuted, but I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, still cannot hear you. All right. Well, let's go back to, let's see. We've got another person on our phone line. We'll try to get Vincent back in here. Maybe he can reload his StreamYard and try again. Let's go to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
It's James. My phone tweaks sometimes in the StreamYard, but you might not like what I have to say, but it's all love either way, right? Just so if I say what I want to say, you might not like it.
You're welcome to say just about anything. Go ahead.
All right. First off, at the beginning of the year, I kind of break down how I picture this team, right? If that makes sense. And one thing that I knew we lacked, and Coach Close was right, size. We don't really have the size, right, to compete with the big, right?
Right.
Good bigs. Obviously, I'm not saying their big is good, but we don't have that 7-foot guy that, like, your tallest guy's 6'9" that we throw out there more is what I mean.
Okay. Yep. You're right. They don't have size. They don't have quickness. Yep.
The quickness, you have the lateral speed. They can't get lateral, so people get downhill.
Correct.
A lot of times they're not going to be able to catch up. That's why they foul so much, because they're not able to catch up, if that makes sense, because they're behind. So a lot of times they foul because they're already behind, because they can't laterally get there quick enough, if that makes sense.
Okay. You're right. I don't disagree with that. Although there are other ways to combat quickness from a team standpoint. And that's why Wisconsin was such a difficult matchup, because they had bigs that can shoot.
Yeah, that's one thing I said with size too, is the fact of, like, they have bigs who can shoot. We don't really have Alvaro can shoot sometimes. We don't have the bigs that can kind of stretch the floor a little bit, right? But when teams stretch the floor, that also makes it worse too, because now you're definitely on island one-on-one. When you don't have the lateral quickness, that I feel like we don't have one-on-one, you can get beat a lot of times to the rack, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no disagreements for me. No, absolutely not.
Now, I will say
fouls, Iowa had 15 to Penn State's 13. So, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest concern right now, James, is it didn't appear to me that they lost today because of the things you just said. They just lost because of, just bad defense collectively. Like, that's kind of what Gary said. It wasn't because they had a quick guard that broke you down. They don't have great 3-point shooters everywhere. Yeah. They just, sort of like how Fran's teams lost defensively. They're just bad defensively.
No, but I'm saying, before I get to one of my main points, part of that was saying that Iowa is going to lose games they shouldn't and win games they shouldn't, because they're always going to be. We were talking about this as like a coaching staff when I was, during the season. Like, Iowa's going to win games they shouldn't, lose games they shouldn't, because of the style of play, if that makes sense. So, like, they're wasting the clock all the way till 10 seconds a lot of times to get in a set, right? So you only get 1 to maybe 2 looks out of that at all. You might not get a look at all. That's why sometimes we have to chuck shots up, because it's like, okay, now we only got 10 seconds to go, so now we just got to chuck something up, if that makes sense, right? Like, a lot of times with the style he plays, and he's a great coach. I'm not denying Ben. Ben's one of the greatest coaches ever to do it, right? The D2 level in August. But with the style of play sometimes comes these aspects of, like, you're running so much slow offense that, like, you're only getting a couple good looks out of it. So if you don't get a great look out of it, you're kind of in a bad situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, and that's why what you just illustrated, James, is a perfect example of why you can't look at, like, in a Fran system, Penn State scores 71. First of all, that Fran team's probably winning. And second off, that means they probably played actually decent defense. But the problem is, the efficiency. I mean, for a Penn State team to shoot 64%, 60% from the field, from three, I don't care what the final score is. You're running the clock down, like you just said. And by the way, Iowa ended up with 10 offensive rebounds. So you're getting a lot of second chance opportunities. So that should tell you how horrendously bad Iowa was on the other end. Is they were actually limiting the number of possessions for Penn State. Penn State shot 39 field goals. That's it. 39 to Iowa's 57. And yet, Iowa still lost this game.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, when you go as slow as Iowa does, and this might sound crazy, you can tell me this sounds crazy or not, but sometimes when you go as slow as Iowa does, you get the other team, like, you're not really running offense for 10 seconds, right? And the shot clock's, 30?
Yeah.
So that's 20 seconds of them not having to do as much except for you sending guys baseline, right? So they get kind of not a break, but 15 seconds at least where they don't have to do much but just chase somebody baseline, right? So it's like sometimes you give them the opportunity to recover a little bit instead of going at them right away. Then it's and I know we're not a track meet team, but instead of getting going at them right away, where it's okay, now they have to get back in something again, right? On offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're kind of letting them you're slowing down so much that you're giving them opportunity to kind of get a rest too at the same time.
I understand. I mean, I enjoy watching this type of offense on a good day.
Yeah.
On a bad day, it's hard to watch. But again, we can talk up and down about offense, James, but the defensive numbers are where this game was lost.
No, yeah, for sure. And early there was a couple shooters open. One question I got, and I kind of put this in the Discord too. Join the Discord if y'all haven't, by the way.
Yeah,
why was Tavion not on read? Because I feel like Tavion is your best lateral defender. Tavion is your best guy who, if somebody gets to the room, I think he can cut it off better than Cooper Cox or somebody like that, right? But yeah, you didn't put Tavion on. I never really seen Tavion on read, right? So I don't understand that aspect of it.
Yeah, I don't quite get what was done to combat what we saw out of Josh Reed. It just again, you talk about efficiency. He was efficient in every regard, and he's a good player. But that's an ongoing concern of mine, is identifying a go-to guy and figuring out a way to limit him. It seems like every game, just about, with the exception being a couple, like Bruce Thornton didn't go off for Ohio State the other night. Iowa somehow really limited him, and then they come out today and give up what they gave up to a solid player in Josh Reed. So I don't have an explanation for you, James. I appreciate you calling. Thanks for plugging the Discord as well. We're going to continue to get more people in there.
It'll definitely be interesting to see, and obviously I hope during tournament, I think they still will be, but it's just with this system, I feel like people kind of will understand too. It's just the way we play, everybody has a chance to beat us, but we also have a chance to beat a lot of teams. Maybe not every team, right? Maybe not Michigan, maybe not Michigan State, but we have a chance to beat a majority of the teams that we play in the Big Ten just with the style we play. That's just the risk you take when you play that style.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yep, enjoy your day, and obviously it's gonna suck. But one thing I've learned over the years is you just take it and hopefully you can get better from it. So me, I don't really dwell on it as much because you can just keep getting better. That's how I look at it. But enjoy your day, and I'll just listen to other people rant. So
okay, sir. Appreciate the phone call, James.
Yep.
All right, real quick, I just wanted to bring this up, and Kyle Spence texted me here a little bit ago and brought this to my attention. Penn State is currently 130 in the net. Now, with their win today, they should go up. So they're 130 in the net. What is that? Why is that significant? Because it's only a quad 2 loss, not a quad 3 loss. So that's positive since it was away. If they were to slip, if Penn State were to slip below the top 135 in the net ratings, okay, this game would turn into a quad 3 loss. That's particularly devastating. So you don't want quad 2 losses, but you really don't want quad 3 losses. I believe Iowa already has a quad 3 loss. Let me pull up their net resume. By the way, great website if you're curious, bballnet.com, and you can check out Iowa's resume as it relates to their quad performances. So their record against quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4. Actually, heading into today, they were undefeated against quad 2 opponents. So Maryland actually is slightly below Penn State in the quad ratings. They're 140th in the net. So Iowa's loss at Maryland is a quad 3 loss. This, as of today, would be a quad 2 loss. So that is significant. Let's just hope Penn State can say that's going to be a important one to follow here these last couple of weeks, just to make sure. I say last couple of weeks, I'm talking these last 2 games for Penn State plus tournament. They shouldn't slip below 130 because I would think this would move them up enough. But we'll have to follow that because Iowa needs them to stay above 135. All right, let's see if we got Vincent back on the line. Vincent, do we have your audio now?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I got you clear.
Okay, I'll be fast because a lot of the stuff you touched on are prior callers. But they always say styles make matchups. And I think when you look at, or I guess the most puzzling thing to me is our losses are to every bottom dweller in the Big Ten via Minnesota, Maryland, and Penn State. And again, styles make matchups. And at least from my perspective, when I've watched those games, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or give a different opinion, but all 3 of those teams don't run a heavy pick and roll or screen based offense. It's almost like man to man. And when our defense is lacking, especially on the road, because all 3 of those losses are on the road, if I remember correctly, it's a man style or a more, I don't want to say one-on-one, but it's almost what it appears to be. And when our defense is lacking, just like you said, and today's defensive effort was subpar for a McCollum coach team, but that's what it appears is when our defense is off, this is always the end result. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like Fran's teams. If your offense sucks, you're not winning.
Well,
now,
yeah.
Now, in an ideal world, what McCollum wants, and this is year 1, right? So everything has to be in perspective. But ideally, this offense, even with Sturtz gone, in the next year to 2 years, the offense will be better collectively. And so they'll be able to win even when their defense is below. Now, they did win that Washington game out there. They gave up 71% from the field in the first half against Washington, which is unbelievable. But when you say they were subpar defensively, no, they weren't subpar. They were horrendous by every metric. Okay. 64% from the field, Vincent.
No, I saw it. I mean, horrendous is probably PG rated, but yes.
That's unbelievable. Like that is, again, I know they only gave up 71 because of the pace of play of the game, but that's Fran level crap. That's worse than Fran level crap today.
No, and I saw that too. Like the rotations were always late. And I'm sure when Ben does his post-game presser, their rotations out to the perimeter of the 3-point shooters was just bad. I mean, it was just bad. But stylistically, and James kind of brought up that point, the slower pace, when we face teams that don't have, they're just not that great of an offensive juggernaut or team, we struggle, especially on the road on the defensive end. And I don't understand the why. Like I didn't know if Coach Close is going to be on. We can kind of ask, like, what is it you're seeing? Is it just because you can see Ben losing more hair on the sideline, just trying to get players to do the basic stuff, and we're just not doing it. And that's the scarier part for me. Now, you said you think we're going to be better on offense going into the next year or two. I don't. I don't.
Well, a year or two. I mean, there are going to be a lot of changes with this roster in 2 years. So I know
but the style is still the same, though.
The style is still the same, but they don't. They are trying to run this style with a lot of mid-major players. They run this style with a bunch of high-major players throughout, and giving those guys time to gel and adjust together to this league. I mean, these guys, Combs, Banks, Sturtz, Maniau, Fulgaris, none of these guys, Tate, Sage, these guys did not really have time. Even Cooper Koch, he plays a tiny bit last year. This is all new for basically everybody, but Hazen, who doesn't really play.
Yeah.
So I just think collectively the offense will be more balanced, and I think in general it will be better. I know it's hard to think that when you're losing a player like Bennett Sturts, who's going to be a first-round draft pick, but
right.
I just think you integrate this offense with better players across the board. I do think like Sage is going to be really good. I think Koch is still going to be really good.
Yeah, freshman.
Those guys need
Combs will be back. He's decent.
Well, yeah, but I believe they're going to need to go to the point. I don't think he should be starting next year. If Ben is any sort of a portal wizard, he needs to get somebody that can start in place of Cale Combs. Combs needs to be a guy that comes off the bench and gives them minutes because he doesn't give you anything offensively, and he's been below what they've needed defensively. It sounds like he's been dealing with a medical issue the latter half of this year. But yeah, I mean, I have a hard time seeing it too because of Sturts being gone, but I just think given what they're going to probably have to do in the portal, they really have no choice. And then hopefully the development that comes, they'll be able to overcome subpar defensive play. But the defense should get better as well the longer you play together. I think that's what's so weird about this. I wonder if this team, because we've heard a lot of talk about Fulgaris and his struggles to get acclimated to this level and his up and down play. But I would say the same thing about Howard and Combs and Banks. Like almost everybody has been on this type of a affair.
No, you're right.
And so I just wonder if like there's some issues with cohesion, and it would make sense since it's year one, even though he brought a bunch of guys from Drake, if there's some issues still, like this team has never quite gelled. That's what it feels like to me. Like they've never quite gelled. And so when you've never quite gelled completely, you're going to be on a roller coaster. You're going to lose to teams you shouldn't lose to. Some nights you play really well and you beat teams you shouldn't probably beat. But even like at the end of the game, when he's trying to yell at his guys, he's jumping up and down trying to get them to foul and they're not fouling.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing to me with strong leadership and strong cohesion and a well-coached team. And I have no doubt they're well-coached. So that makes me think the cohesion or leadership is not where it should be. That should not happen. You should not allow 15, 16 seconds to go off a shot clock. So that's why I wonder if maybe this team still hasn't gelled or they're just not always on the same page. That's what it feels like to me, if that makes sense.
No, you're bringing up actually a really good point because I watched McCollum's post-game pressers and you'll hear him talk. A lot of his questions are geared towards that. Like, hey, why did you do this rotation? Or why did so-and-so start in place of another? He brings that up, but I know he's not trying to single out players by any stretch. That's a very good point that you're just bringing up. Also, do you think, and I just happen to notice it while watching, do you like or dislike or not even have a care about the early substitutions for Maniau? And because I noticed Maniau and Fulgaris, like within the first 2 to 3 minutes of a game, they're already being rotated in. I'm like, well, why are we already pulling Maniau unless there's foul trouble? But it seems like
the narrative, but the narrative lately, Vincent, has been they don't get off to good starts. So
yeah,
that's the answer to your question right there. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but the starting group has not been getting started on either end very well. Fulgaris played excellent against Ohio State, and Ben said matter-of-factly yesterday that he's hesitant, and I made the comment. I understand it. You're hesitant to make a lineup decision or a change this late in the year because you don't know how guys are going to play. A guy who's playing great off the bench, all of a sudden he gets inserted in the starting lineup. He doesn't play as well, and vice versa. So I understand making a sub earlier. I think that's the explanation, right or wrong.
Right. And I also agree with you too on the you brought up 2 good points. The consistency or cohesion amongst the players. Some games it's there, some it's not. And boy, if it's not, it's almost like a glaring eyesore or black eye. Like you can really, really see it. So that's another excellent point. I won't keep you on here. Just real quick, I did do a Cash App donation. I'm not sure if you have to look at those to get it. Just real quick, it is in there for you.
Thank you.
Other than that, the last thing I'll leave. Oh no, you're welcome. Absolutely. Last thing I'll leave is, oh shit, I said a brain fart. Leading into the tournament. I'm sorry. I'm quite frankly, I'm over the Big Ten beating up on each other. So I'm kind of looking forward to the end of the Big Ten season, if you know what I mean. I'm going ahead and putting Michigan and Nebraska as losses. So we're going to have a 20-11 season. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Wow. And that would be real quick. That would be 4 of their last 5 going into Big Ten play that they've lost.
Well, and you know what? Here's my thing on the Big Ten tournament. I'm not sure your take on it. I understand why the tournament's there, and sure, do I watch it? Absolutely. But this is just me. I'd rather us have an early exit from the Big Ten tournament, knowing we don't have a chance to win it, get some rest. And I know you're going to be like, what are you talking about, Vince? But this is just my take. I'd rather us have an early exit, especially if we're a lock for the NCAA tourney, get some time to recoup or downtime, and also for planning for what's coming up to then make the real run in the NCAA tournament. That's just my.
Can I give you a response as to why I think that's the wrong mindset?
No, and I said, I'm sure you'll probably laughing, but go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So one thing, quick. So if they go into the Big Ten tournament, losing the last 2 games like you just expected them to, that means 3 straight losses, 4 or 5. The last thing they need is another loss. Okay. Heading into the NCAAs, they need to get back on track. They need to see a win.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's one thing, momentum, right?
Okay.
The other thing about it is the idea that they need, if they get the double bye and they don't play till Thursday, the idea that if they play Friday, that 6 days or 7 days before the NCAA tournament is not enough rest, I think is ludicrous. That should be plenty of rest. You can win Thursday, play Friday, and you may not play till the following Friday in the NCAA tournament. That should be plenty of rest.
I don't disagree with you in theory. I'm just going based off of history. And I know Fran's teams were different, but
I don't think it was because of rest. I don't think Fran's teams had anything to do with rest.
Well, if you look at collectively, the teams that make it to the championship games, whether it's Big Ten, SEC, or ACC, the other conferences, those upsets that you see, where rarely do you see a 16 over a 1, but a 2 over a 15, 3 over 14 in the first day, it's typically those teams that made a long run into their conference tournament and just ran out of gas and got upset by somebody who didn't have such a long stretch in their tournament. I could be wrong. I'm not a basketball guru. And I know you're going to roll your eyes at me.
I don't know. You're saying that, but I don't. Is that true? I don't know if the data says that's true or not. But
and again, I could be wrong. I just, every time I see, and this is probably because I pay attention to Iowa, but every time we have a deep run, I mean, just when we won the Big Ten championship in 2022, we won our first round game and then lost to Grand Canyon or whoever the heck it was in the second round. Somebody that we probably shouldn't have lost to. We had no momentum or steam after we went through the Big Ten tournament and won the championship. And again, I'm not a basketball guy. I don't pretend to be, but I'm just excited to see what happens going forward. I still hope we get a tournament seed somewhere 10 or above to at least see what we can do, what Ben McCollum can do, and what the Iowa team can do against other opposition versus the Big Ten.
Yep.
Because I'm burnt out on that now. But other than that, Corey, thank you so much for the time and the platform. I'll let you get to your next call.
Thank you, Vincent. Always enjoy your conversation. Yeah, it's good stuff. I get every line of reasoning there. I explain why I don't agree with, they need to, especially if these next 2 games are losses, they need to win in the Big Ten tournament, because it's going to feel way too much like a Fran team. If they go to the Big Ten tournament and lose their first game, it's going to feel way too much like Fran. Today felt like Fran, man. I just again, only thing notwithstanding is pace of play on offense and the score. The final score doesn't feel like Fran, but it's the efficiency from the opponent going to Happy Valley and losing. By the way, I keep saying Happy Valley. Is it Happy Valley or is that just the stadium? I don't even know. What is Happy Valley, Kyle?
I think it's, it's College Station, right? It's not
College Station. It's
or
not
University Park, right?
No, it's.
Is that not the name of the place?
It's State College.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure what Happy Valley is.
Okay.
What they refer to is that.
I don't really care about Penn State, but yeah, for some reason this has been a place where Iowa teams go to die over the last 5 years, 10 years.
6 out of the last 7. They showed it at the end of the broadcast. They've lost 6 of 7 up there.
Folks, before we get to our next caller, and we do have a couple of lines open, big thank you to Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team. Let me get rid of this comment that is on the screen and this banner, because we want to make sure we display Brad and his great team of State Farm agents down in Des Moines. Why can't I operate this thing today? All right. Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team at 515-256-6480. 515-256-6480 for a quote on insurance. Give him a call or check out his website and request a quote online, www.bradvanmeter.com. You don't have to live in Des Moines. He's serving the entire state of Iowa. So again, Brad Van Meter and the State Farm team in Des Moines. Call today. All right. We have got Kyle here, and we've got Doug on the line. So let's bring Doug into the conversation. Doug, you've been waiting a while, buddy. Good to see you.
I just wanted to point out how wrong Vincent was. UConn went 9 straight wins or 10 in the tournament with Kimba Walker.
That's it. Real quick. That I'm not. Hey, let me call you out for a second. You're giving me anecdotal evidence just like Vincent is. I want to see data. I don't want to hear about anecdotes. I want data. Maybe somebody can chat GPT it. Kyle, you like to do this kind of thing. Somebody tell me what percentage of
conference tournament
major upset losses in the NCAA tournament were involving teams that had deep runs in their conference tournaments. Right? That's what we want to know, right? I mean, because here, look, I could bring up to support to support Vincent's claim, Doug. I could bring up Iowa winning the Big Ten tournament a few years ago and then losing to Richmond. That supports Vincent's claim. But
then I'd bring up Iowa State in 2001, losing to 8th seed Baylor,
and I would say,
and then losing a 15th seed.
But I would say that's 25 years ago.
Well, I just remember that one big time because I was watching the Baylor game in the physics class, and that was the team that was with Jamal Tinsley. Everyone thought was going to win it all. Remember, I'm old. So
Doug, I want to know, how upset were you today at the end of this game?
Well, I've been trying to keep my emotions in check, trying to have a steady mood because that's what Ben wants.
Is anything destroyed in your home?
No, nothing's destroyed.
Good.
You know, there's no one here. Dad's in Florida, so he might stay there. So I don't know. So shoot him down all this shit. Sorry for cussing. But if you talk about being old, you guys ever play Double Dribble on 8-bit Nintendo?
No.
Okay. That sounds like a fun game. I would probably enjoy that.
There's a glitch in the game called it's a corner 3 glitch. You can watch it on like Family Guy joked about it, where basically you took a corner 3, it would always go in. And that's how I feel sometimes watching Iowa, is that they have that corner 3 glitch, and other teams, the ball always goes in. So
yeah, real quick, DC Hawkeye, I forgot to acknowledge this earlier. DC Hawkeye, thank you for the super chat. Says, I thought Maryland game was bad. Their end game play is questionable when they had the 67-62 lead. Why didn't they keep driving at the basket instead of shooting last second threes? As for losing to the losers, that is bad. I will say, Doug, can I just say something?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me permission.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little burned out on Hazen.
Me too.
You know what's funny about that is
congratulations.
for a guy that barely plays, who I think is probably a great leader, great dude. Man, like I watch him, I'm like, what does he do besides jack threes? Like, what does he do besides jack threes? Can one of you tell me?
No.
And some may say that's valuable if they're going in, it is valuable. But man, someone want to give me a recent game log? Can you someone tell me like what?
Well, he was a minus 18.5 per 100 possessions today. He was by far the worst player on the court.
Go ahead, Doug.
I mean, it was a horrible.
I apologize to Vince. I wasn't trying to get too emotional about that, but I was also thinking the 13 Michigan team, that the team that went off the runway, and anyway, they have jerseys the opening game of the Big Ten, and then they went on to I think runners up. You remember that team?
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember them playing in practice jerseys.
Yes, that team went. I'm going to address this too because I just want to troll a little bit myself. But no, you guys are all great in the live chat. I appreciate everyone. Appreciate James, Vincent, but we can't go to the NIT.
Well,
they're contractually going to the Crown. Yeah,
they're not. Look.
They're not missing the tournament, guys. They're not missing the tournament.
Yeah, like these people in the chat, like RDHV, he's one of the most emotional people in the chat. Like he really only shows up in these teams when an Iowa team does poorly. RDHV, prove me wrong that you are in the chat and in the comment section when an Iowa team plays well, because I only recall your comments when they play poorly. He says this isn't a tournament team. Skylar Mummert. He also says, I don't think they make it. Well, you don't have to think that. I'm telling you.
They're going to make it.
They will.
They're going to make it. It's over.
Yeah, they're going to make the tournament. Now, this question is fair, or this comment. Zeke Bone says, I'm telling you, this is a blessing in disguise. We have a chance to fall to a 10. But here's the problem with that. If they fall to a 10, that probably means they lost out and maybe lost in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
I do not want to go into the NCAA tournament with 4 straight losses and 5 of 6. That is not what I want, even if they are.
Be like 6 out of 8 at that point.
Do you know, like back in the day with Tom Davis, why it was so hard for him to get this Sweet 16? He had a lot of 7 to 8, 9 seeded teams.
Well, so did Fran. So did Fran. Let's be honest. Fran did it. Look, Fran was a let's see if you are the guy with the memory, Doug, right, for Iowa basketball. But Fran beat his.
Myself, I don't know anything.
Wait a minute. They beat Temple as a 7, and then lost to Nova.
Villanova.
They beat Davidson as a 7. No. I'm sorry. Do I have no? They lost to David. They beat Davidson. Lost to Zaga.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Cincinnati as a 10. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then lost to Tennessee. No, they were.
Yeah,
they were.
We just have a lot of those losses.
Wait a minute. They lost it. They beat Cincinnati and then lost to Tennessee, who was a 2. So they're on the 7-10 line there, and then they lost to Auburn and they were a 10. Correct.
That was an 8-9 game.
No, they were an 8-9 game. Yeah,
they was an 8. Were you sure?
Yes.
Yeah, they were. Which side of that were they, Doug? Were they an 8 or a 9?
I think they were a 9.
I think they
were. You guys
too.
Sure?
Yeah, that was an 8-9 game. That was an 8-9 game. Yeah,
I don't remember them being 8-9. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it is fair to bring it up. But that's why this game was so important. That's why this game was so important, because I have no problem with them losing the last 2. I don't think it really does a ton for your momentum if you lose the last 2 to great teams. But when you lose the last 2 plus lose to a crap Penn State team, now the problem is, Doug, I don't think they can climb to a 7 unless they win one of these last 2 and then probably a Big Ten tournament game.
It really depends on what happens to Ohio State, and we could play ourselves out. You said we couldn't. We could be a 9 or 10 seed in the Big Ten tournament. We still can be a 7th or 8th seed. And the 9th and 10th seeds play on Wednesday against a bad team that would have played on Tuesday, or
which
maybe
does you nothing. Which does you absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
All that does you is tire you out.
Make you play another game.
An opportunity at losing. That's all it does.
Yeah. Doesn't do anything.
I was just saying, you lose on a Wednesday game, though, you might not make the tournament, because that'd be a really bad loss.
So, okay. So I'll tell you, Corey, is this, because again, we're trying to come up with wild scenarios. If Penn State somehow fell outside top 135, that gives them 2 quad 3 losses. If they then fall to a 10 seed in the Big Ten tournament and lose another quad 3 game, does that, are they still a lock? I think they are still a lock.
So you're assuming like a quad neutral. So quad 3 in the Big Ten tournament would be who? Like
I don't know, outside top 100.
Anyone from 51 to 100.
Penn State or somebody like that, they'd play on Wednesday.
That would be quad 3 or quad 2?
It'd be quad 3 because it'd be neutral.
Okay. They'd have to be outside the top 100.
Yeah.
Yes, on neutral court.
So it'd have to be Penn State, Maryland,
Minnesota.
No, is Oregon outside the top 100 or no?
I'm looking at the net rankings.
Oregon's 107. So it could be them.
Oregon, and then also that's basically it. That's basically it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying you don't want to lose your last 4 and your 4th loss being on Wednesday in the Big Ten tournament. Then I am not very confident.
They're still in.
Okay,
they're still in. But that's what I'm saying. They may end up in Dayton, or they may end up on a low.
They could end up. They could end up in the first 4.
But again, I think they still play the games. Let's. I'm gonna watch the next 2 games. You'll still have a show, right, on Tuesday?
Oh no, we're shut show down, Doug.
You're shutting the show down. Okay,
15-point losses and shut it down.
Yeah,
down. Yeah, this is Penn State. Too embarrassing.
Again, we're gonna be here, right? I mean, we're still fans on Thursday and Sunday, so I'm hopeful. I wanted to make I made this already in the chat because people were talking about development and who will play next year. One of the guys I want to bring up is a guy we had a couple years ago, Philip Obracha. He was similar to a lot of these guys, transferred from a mid-major, struggled his first year, only averaged 6 points a game. The next year, he was 13 All Big Ten. Yep. So that's what you're hoping. And they have a lot of guys playing, averaging 7 or 8 points a game. and you're hoping that those guys turn into double-digit scorers because they have to. You have Thompson and Harris coming in, which really doesn't help your backcourt. They really need to address a lot of backcourt issues because Combs can, as you already said, cannot be your starting point guard next year if you want to be an NCAA team. That's just my opinion. It's nothing against the guy. Like I said, the guy would be amazing at Drake. He's meant to be our backup point guard next year, or the guy that, we need to settle things. Nothing against Combs. Well, no matter what, we need to get more athletic in the backcourt. And that's the only way to do that is in the portal. They're not replacing Bennett with Bennett. There's no one in the portal like that, but they can replace his production. And that's what they need to try to do. With that being said, I trust that they'll develop. I'm going to watch the next 2 games, and I will hopefully see Iowa play good. I just want a competitive game I just don't want to look like Purdue ever again. That Purdue game really, really was disappointing. You can lose games, but when you don't have the effort and you play and you don't execute, those are really disappointing. So, execute.
What was it today, Doug? You've hardly said anything about the game today. What was it today?
65% field goal shooting.
Yeah. How does that happen against Penn State?
They were sacrificing a lot. They did those traps up high you've seen, which they were leaving that corner 3 open. They were leaving, in which the other player was driving out of that because they're playing too aggressive up on top. That's basically it. I mean, if they would sag back and I don't know, just they needed better help coverage and better rotation.
You want to guess where Penn State ranks as far as field goal efficiency? This is actually going to surprise you.
Probably the middle of the Big Ten.
They're actually number 8 in the Big Ten in field goal percentage.
Yeah.
But
Corey, in the 2 trips, the trip to Maryland and the trip to Penn State, Iowa gave up a combined 70% shooting from 2.
You won't win many games that way.
17 of 24 and 16 of 24.
And let's not forget the first half against Washington. They gave up 71%.
Yeah.
First half from the field.
It's not good. We're gonna go through some analytics because I got some stuff for you.
60 to bring up the stale environment, there was only 6,900 fans there. That's what they listed, so there's probably only 5,000 fans,
if that. Yeah,
I don't think there were that many.
I think there's like
I might make that trip. I could have started driving last night.
Yeah, you should have done that, Doug.
Yeah, I should have done that because I can be as loud as 5,000 people. I think now I can't be as loud as 10,000, but I can be as loud as 5,000.
Yeah, I don't have an explanation for how you don't come out there. It seems like these empty arenas, it's harder to play well. I don't understand that. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate the call. And yeah, they need help. Look, they need the Tavion Banks that we had around the midway point of Big Ten play, or just short of the midway point of Big Ten play when he was putting up 15 to 18 points a game. But again, hard to judge the offense. The question was asked, why didn't they stick Tavion Banks on Josh Reed? I don't have an answer for that. It seems like they're more likely to put him on a quick guard than they are to have him guard a guy that's his size. Maybe they feel like he is a better perimeter defender with his length than he is, which doesn't make a lot of sense. You would think a guy who's physical and athletic and big could guard, great 3s and 4s. I think Josh Reed's a 3, technically speaking, but yeah. Anyways, Kyle, anything else I'm missing here?
Yeah, well, let's address this comment first because this is one of the things that I had a note about. One of the things that I didn't talk to Ben about this, but I listened to Ben speak about it in the press conferences when I was at Carver, was about one of the things that they were trying to build into their offense, which I think we talked about earlier in the season, which was stacking actions. So basically they have a designed action that they want to run, and, it might end up with the ball on the wing and then a feed to the post for a layup. But if the guy gets the ball on the wing and the feed to the post for the layup is not open, or it's not available for whatever reason, then they have a second action that they've stacked on top of the first action that starts with the ball in the hands of a guy on the wing on the perimeter. So if the first action is not available, they can cycle straight into the second action and keep the ball moving. And that was one of the things I really liked hearing from Ben, because it's an interesting idea to me. And obviously Fran was very kind of free-flowing offense. The ball, there wasn't a lot of structure as far as what they're trying to do, shots they were trying to get. But one of the things that's really bothered me, especially about this game today, is when they get late in games and they dribble the air out of the basketball for 20 seconds. Somebody made the point earlier that I think is good. You're not forcing Penn State really to defend for about, 15, 20 seconds of the shot clock. But then also that thing that Ben's saying about that second action, it just goes straight out the window, because in 10 seconds, you barely have enough time to run one action, let alone two. So if they run that first action and they get the ball to a certain position on the floor, I mean, there's not enough time in the shot clock to start a second action. And again, you look at some of these games, and right now they're averaging 63 possessions per game. That's their pace rating, and the average in the NCAA is 70. So they're seven or eight possessions slower per game than the average NCAA basketball team. Today they had 59, and that just makes no sense to me at all, because I mean, if you're looking at this from a purely analytical perspective, right, you go into a game with, definitely offensive advantages, potentially defensive advantages, although I'll talk in a second about why I don't think that's the case. But you go into the game with advantages per possessions on the metrics. You would think when you're trying to avoid being upset, you would want a few more extra possessions, because those are more and more and more opportunities for your advantages to create distance, right? One of the ways that, if you look back at guys like a Kobe Bryant or a LeBron James in sort of the mid 2000s to 2010s, one of the things that they did really well, because those were two guys, Kobe played against the Big Four Celtics, LeBron played against the Warriors and the Spurs at times. And one of the things that those guys did really, really, really well in order to pull off those huge upsets that Kobe had in 2009 and that LeBron had in 2016 was he realized that, and whether he said this out loud or not, the Warriors and the Celtics had advantages per possessions on the Lakers and the Cavaliers. And so they would control the tempo of the game. They would slow the tempo down to reduce the number of possessions in the game, so that when they got down to the end, if a team is 10 points per 100 possessions better than you, and there's 100 possessions in the game versus if there's 60, that's a big difference, because in a 60 possession game, if they're 10 points better than you, they're only up 6 instead of 10. And the thought is that gives your star player at the end of the game the opportunity to close the game from a competitive standpoint. And so in this game, it makes no sense to me why they would slow it, because at the end of the game, I mean, especially when they went in that, I don't know how long the dry spell was. I haven't looked at the box score, the stat sheet yet, but several times they didn't even start their actions until 12, 10, 8 seconds left in the shot clock. And it's like, guys, I understand you're up by a couple of points, but get into your stuff quicker, because your opportunity to widen this lead and to show where your advantages are dwindles every time you get slower. And that just lets teams hang around. If I was looking at this game from a scouting perspective, and I'd love to hear what Ben thinks about this. He wasn't in Carver today for either of us to ask him, but when you have, if they're 5 or 10 points better per 100 possessions, I would love to have seen 70 possessions in this game, because that's 11 more opportunities for the better team to be the better team. And instead they took away 4 or 5 possessions, even from a normal slow Iowa game, to be the better team. So that's, I don't know, that really bothered me. Especially given what Ben had said in the past. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's kind of my soapbox.
Well, I just wanted to add to the scoring drought. Iowa went up 67-62 with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. They didn't make another field goal until Sturtz's layup with 8 seconds left. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You've heard me talk about late game offense.
Yeah.
That's not closing. That's the opposite of closing.
Nope.
Sending guys.
And it wasn't like they got good shots and missed them either. They didn't get very many good shots down the stretch.
State College. DC Hawkeye says I'm right in saying Happy Valley because State College sits in a valley. Okay. So there you go.
Fun fact of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing. Just because I did have ChatGPT pull this up. I think this is interesting. No correlation between conference tournament champion getting upset in the NCAA tournament. It's actually twice as likely that you get upset in the NCAA tournament if you're the regular season champ versus the conference tournament champion. And so the estimate that they were able to bring up based on the last 10 years of results is that 1 in 7 major NCAA tournament upsets, and they categorize major NCAA tournament upsets as a 5 seed difference or greater. So basically, 5-12, 4-13, 3-14, 2-15, 16-1. 1 in 7 involves a major conference tournament champion, and 2 in 7 involves a regular season champ. The other 50% are at large. So,
okay, good data. Let me go to Chad. He's got a super chat here, and I didn't actually get the comment here, but we do appreciate the donation. Chad adds in a different comment, we're about to be in March. We should not lose to the bottom 2 worst teams in the conference. Lack of a true center has hurt us the whole season. I actually did think Cam Mannion came in and made some big plays defensively, a couple of steals, and we saw Fulgaris with a breakaway. Somebody brought up, if Iowa doesn't get 27 points off turnovers, where are they offensively? So that's fair, right? They converted off 15 Penn State turnovers. A lot of those were live ball, scored 27 points, which included, they're calling just 6 fast break points, but 27 points off turnovers in total. All right, let's go back to our phone line. We've got Jace with the Jace is on the line. Thank you, Jace.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you,
what's up,
sir?
Jace?
I'm pretty bad today. I don't know what I'll be doing the rest of the night. Not watching college basketball, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, get ready for a couple of tough ones. Hey, on the bright side, let's again glass half full for a second, folks. They get Michigan at home, and they get Nebraska on the road, but that's a Nebraska team that Iowa proves it can match up well with. There's your bright side for a second.
Yes, the Michigan one is kind of bright, but that one might not be the prettiest.
Neither one is that bright, but
no.
It just seems like we're in the same thing every single week. We win a good one, and then
that's what I said. Yeah. The roller coaster continues.
They could shock us again.
Just when you think this team you figured this team out, their identity is they've stabilized. You find out, nope, they have not.
Yeah, I think the late game offense, I think it wasn't great, obviously. We missed a lot of shots, but I think it was better today than it has been in the past. It wasn't just straight iso ball. At times it was, but Kale missed a layup. Hazen missed a 3. We missed that one sequence where we had 4 offensive rebounds. We just didn't capitalize on the second chances.
That was so huge because, if you get a bucket on the end of 3 or 4 offensive rebounds, that's so deflating for the other team. And then in the end, it turned out to be deflating for Iowa. That was horrible.
Yeah, the turnover pretty much gave them momentum.
I understand.
Absolutely.
Jace, I understand what you're saying from a perspective of shot attempts and ball movement. You think the offense looked better late in the game. It's hard to make that argument, though, when you sit here and say they didn't score a field goal between the 4:30 mark and the 8-second mark.
No, yeah, absolutely. It wasn't great. But I think it was ball movement-wise, I think it was better than just Sturtz not driving, just standing there and hitting a step-back 3.
Well, that just proves how pathetic they have been late offensively.
And then I think we're missing just the 10, 13 points from Banks that we were getting earlier in the year.
Yeah, that's what I said. A third of the way through Big Ten Conference play, he was giving you 13 to 16 points a game, and I don't know. Again, just when you think you figured the team out, or I thought, like we had said on this show, Kyle, you were one of the people that said it, like, okay, Banks is clearly the number 2 scoring option.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, no, he's not. He's not the number 2 scoring option. I don't know who.
Yeah, I don't. We have no idea. It's different every game.
But we thought it was him. We thought, without question, he is established. He's the number 2 guy.
I think the most frustrating part for me is we finally got a game out of Cooper. I thought Cam played really well again. He's playing really good basketball right now. And then Sturtz, he just was not Sturtz today.
No, his percentages were not great. It made the big play there at the end. Nobody's brought up the Isaiah Howard trip. I guess some people were frustrated because they felt like he got tripped. Is that right? He got tripped before. It is what it is. It's a bang bang play, and you have to blow the whistle there.
Yeah, you do. You can't call nothing.
Yeah, that wasn't going to be a no call.
Yeah, Howard fell in front of him and tripped the ball.
I'm mad at how it happened. I'm not mad at the call. I don't think that was a terrible call that cost Iowa the game.
And by the way, That's a guy that they sent to the line that hadn't scored the entire second half. That's what makes it even more frustrating. Yeah. He's the guy driving the ball, and he hadn't scored the whole half.
Yeah.
The big stretch too was I don't remember at the exact time, but it was a possession where we got the possession, we played defense, got the stop, and we get a foul. We fouled like 4 straight times, and we had like 2 to 3 fouls we only had 2 to 3 fouls, and it was past the first 10 minutes of the second half. So if you don't foul 4 times there, you're probably looking at a 1-1 down that stretch too.
Well, they had like 5 or 6 fouls in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. That was probably the stretch then that I'm talking about. We got whistled like 4 straight times.
Let's see. I've got it pulled up here. We had with 4:09 to go, foul on Cam Manio. 4:04 to go, foul on Cam Manio. 3:49, foul on Bennett. Let's see. The next one was a foul on Bennett Sturts again. That's 4. And then we had the foul at the end of the game. That's 5. And foul and kill. So there were 6 fouls in the last 4 minutes.
Anything else, Jace? Jace?
Uh-oh.
We lost him. We lost
Okay.
Jace.
Yeah. So anyways, I've got some stuff for you, Corey. You might find this interesting. This is off of Bart Torvik. Do you mind?
Sure. Yeah. Let me just add this real quick. This comment, is this 2 quad? That's
no.
They have 0 quad 4 losses.
No.
Okay. No. 0 quad 4 losses. All right. We got Jace back. Jace.
Yeah, I got a phone call and then everything just went silent.
No, you're good. We got you back. Anything else to add?
No, you can't really add much than what pretty much everybody said. It's just the same thing repeated, I feel like.
Well, the sun will come up tomorrow. They got a week to figure this thing out. They got 2 games in a Big Ten tournament before the big dance. So not over yet, but
yeah,
it's go time.
I think I'm more frustrated at the defense than anything.
Over absolutely.
The
past.
Yeah.
This team's we're just getting in, not even like shootouts, but the points are way higher in these losses than what they need to be. You hold Ohio State to 57, you hold Nebraska to 52, what did we allow against Maryland?
I've got some stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff. It's just it looks so
Wisconsin
bad.
85 was it?
Yeah.
The points. I don't really care about points per se. I care about points per possession. Really, I mean that's Kyle, that Bart Torvik number you asked Ben about at the press conference here a couple of weeks ago. I thought after that they came out against Nebraska, played unbelievable well. I thought, hey, they've turned the corner defensively, and I was about to give your question all the credit in the world, but it turns out that was not a turning point for this defense.
Nope. No, it was not. Definitely not. Wisconsin was actually their second worst defensive game of the year, behind only Purdue.
And I excuse that to some extent because they have bigs that can shoot and a quick guard, and that's just a matchup nightmare. But like I said, that's what today is. This one is like, man, how do you explain it? Hard to explain.
No excuse.
Anyway,
you just can't let a team like we did against Maryland. You just can't let those teams hang around.
Yeah, I agree. Jace, thanks for calling in, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Doug with the super chat. There's nothing I can say to make this loss better. I'm going to the game Thursday. Hope it's a good one. Hit the like. Yes, please hit that like button. Folks, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review. That would help immensely if you've not done so, and follow the podcast, of course. And YouTube Sucks says Corey is really upset with this. We're in the tourney, dude. Relax.
Corey, when you're upset, you're not allowed to be upset. And when you're not upset, you should be upset.
What's funny about this is I got other people saying they're not in the tournament. They're not a tournament team. Bass Fuser says you are overreacting, Corey. And let's see here. Nope. Hawkman 2111. If Iowa loses the next 3 games, will they make the tournament? I believe yes.
Yes, they will. Yep.
I believe they will make the tournament. Jeff Schwinke says he smashed a golf club into his TV. So that sounds like a reasonable reaction. VMS, maybe Ben needs to start the Strim show. Taylor Strimlow. Okay. All right. Talking about lineup changes. Steve Cashman. Ben just blamed the players' inability to guard once Penn State aborted their offense, claimed the scout was spot on, individual failures. And that's the frustrating thing. Like, if it's individual failures this late in the year, that's why I'm like, man, I just don't know what to say. I don't know.
let's do this, Corey. Okay, wait until you hear some of this stuff, because I was just kind of looking through. Obviously we had our last month that we asked Ben about. Last 10 games is what Bart Torvik allows you to look at. So the first thing I did when I looked at the analytics was I looked specifically at their quad 2 and quad 1 games on the road. Okay. And for people that are not aware, there are 365 teams that are tracked in terms of their ratings throughout the year. So it's 365 total teams is the benchmark. What do you think that they are in effective field goal percentage on the road this season? Where do you think they rank?
Were they ranked nationally? For the whole season?
Whole season, quad 2 and quad 1 on the road.
Quad 2 and quad 1 on the road. I would say they're outside the top 150.
304th. And they're 330th in 2-point defense, 360th in 3-point defense.
That stat is whoa, wait a minute. That stat, repeat that whole stat again for me. I need to hear that one more.
So I sorted for quad 2 and quad 1, which I don't know that they played. Have they even played a road game that's not quad 2 or quad 1? I don't know that they have. Maryland. Maryland's the only one. So it actually doesn't even include that game.
Can we just eliminate that quad? Can you go back and eliminate?
Okay. Let's see what we have here then.
Let's just say,
or no, it was included. Sorry, it was only away games for the season. It's because they haven't played any outside of conference this year.
Say hi to your lovely wife, real quick. No, okay. Eliminate the quad thing. Eliminate.
Yes, they are. Yes, it included that game. I went back and put the same filter on. It did include Maryland. So 304th on the road in defense in effective field goal percentage. 330 in 2-point defense and 360 in 3-point defense. And that's on a pure percentage. So that takes out all the tempo stuff. That just says shooting percentages, 360. So there's only 5 teams worse than them at defending the 3-point line on the road. There's 35 teams worse than them defending from 2 on the road. And there's about 60 teams that are worse than them defending on the road total. It gets even worse. Okay. If you look at their analytics for the whole season, home and road, the only defensive metric that they are good at right now is turnover percentage. That's the only thing that's left right now. That is carrying their metrics. They are, I believe it was 15th in turnover creation percentage. So they're 15th in the country in creating turnovers. But total now for the season, they're 140th in 2-point defense and 245 in 3-point defense. That includes every game of the season. And by the way, in their last 10 games, they're 120th in total defensive efficiency. They're 321st in 3-point defense, 341 in 2-point defense, and 333rd in defensive free throw rate, which means that they give up almost the most free throws in the country. So they don't defend from 2 last 10 games. They don't defend from 3, and they give up a ton of free throws. The only thing holding them, in that reasonable category defensively is turnover percentage. Now, again, just going a layer deeper, because in my opinion, right, that's not a defensive statistic that I would cling to in terms of going to a tournament. Because in my mind, again, you can provide your own input here too, but in my mind, the turnover percentage thing is really matchup dependent. There's a lot that the other team has in their control. I mean, obviously you're doing good things to create turnovers, but there are teams that just won't turn the ball over regardless of how good you are at creating turnovers. They're not going to turn the ball over 20 times. So if we go through and look at Iowa's games, if you take the games that they finished in the bottom, or if they finished at NCAA average or below, which there weren't too many games, there were 9 games where they finished the game with a at or below turnover percentage, which is 18.5 is the average NCAA tournament turnover percentage. Their defensive efficiency was 115.1, which is good for 300th in the country. So basically, when they don't turn you over 15 times a game, or they don't turn you over 18.5% of the time, they're horrible defensively. They are totally reliant on getting a bunch of turnovers to limit possessions for the other team, and then combining that with pace to make them look like a good defensive team. But if they play slightly faster and they don't turn you over, they're basically, the analytics would suggest they're basically a terrible defense. They're 300th in total defense if they don't turn you over.
So I'm curious, how can all those numbers explain to me how they can possibly be 34th in KenPom defensively in KenPom's adjusted?
That's what I'm struggling with, because it is adjusted for pace. So I would love to understand, because I'm looking on Bart Torvik. So so I've got the other one that they're okay at. Okay, the other thing holding them up is their offensive rebound percentage is in the top 70 in the country. So that's fair. That's reasonably good.
None of those numbers are getting them inside the top 40 in total adjusted defensive efficiency from Pomeroy.
Yeah, it'd be a great thing to dig into more. I don't have necessarily a great answer, but as soon as they got into basically 3-4 games into Big Ten play, they're below average in everything except for turnover creation. That's basically what it is.
By the way, I just want to call this person out real quick. MC Sun or Mix Sun 6556, 0 for 3, 0 for 4 to end the season. Probably no NCAAs. No. I don't agree with that. Now you have a right to your opinion, but this comment from John Sterling, still a lock, leaves too much to chance to what happens around the country. No. What I'm saying, just like, give you an extreme example, is let's go a little bit higher on the list. Is on the women's side, is Iowa a lock on the women's side? Yes. So there's a certain point that no matter what the teams do below you, you're still a lock, no matter what happens. And I
put it this way.
Iowa men are right above that line to where I don't care what the teams below them do. The bubble's weak anyways. Even if the worst case scenario happens for Iowa going forward, they lose their last 4 total, the 3 on the way out here, and all these bubble teams play really well. I still believe, based on the numbers that I've seen. By the way, I think it was yesterday on threes, or was it 2 days ago? On threes, bracketologist had Iowa as a 6.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's last I checked, now that will not include this game, but last I checked, there was, I think, 18 teams that were projected in the field that Iowa was better than in KenPom and net. There was 18 teams that were projected in the field. So they were 4 or 5 seed lines away from being.
The bubble is weak. So that's why I say they're a lock no matter what happens. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to interject was I have the explanation. Sorry, for the defensive stuff. It's quality of opponent. That's why they're higher up in defensive rankings. So, like, for example, last 10 games, they're 321st in 3-point defense, 341 in 2-point defense, 333rd in defensive free throw rate. Those are pure percentage numbers, and then they're 120th in defense over the last 10 because of quality of opponent. That's the adjustment. Those numbers that I gave you are raw numbers, and then they're adjusted for tempo, and then they're adjusted for strength of schedule.
So how valid are those numbers that are not adjusted for opponent?
Well, the last 10 games, they're 120th in defense, even adjusted for opponent.
Right.
So the raw numbers are absolutely awful. They're playing tough competition, but all I'm saying is, over the last month or two, they are absolutely not a top 100 team defensively. Absolutely not. There's no way to argue that they are.
Yeah. We got a comment coming in from Brian who says, maybe it's been said, but Hazen's 3 of 15 from 3 the last 3 games he's played. Yep. And Steve also brings up, Ben said post-game, there are 18 more shots than Penn State should have led to a 20-point lead. I mentioned that earlier. Let me throw up the final box score from today. These are some unbelievable stats when you really consider it. That Iowa shot for the game 57 field goal attempts to Penn State's 39, and turned the ball. They only turned the ball over 8 times to Penn State's 15. They were even on rebounds, and yet they lose to a team with the worst record in the Big Ten. And by the way, say what you want about officiating. I think this guy right here, DJ Carstensen, is the best official in this league. So everything was
officiating was not the issue tonight.
And they had a 5-point lead with like 4 minutes to go.
Yeah,
and
that's there are points where the analytics are valid, and then I think there's points where you have to look at the eye test. When you're talking about basketball, when you have the best player on the floor, which is absolutely was Bennett Sturts, even though he didn't play like it tonight. He is the best player on the floor. If you're up 5 with 4 minutes to go, ball in hand, and you're that guy, you have to get that game home, period. Regardless of the numbers, regardless of who you're playing, you got to get that.
He dribbled off his foot the one time.
Yep. He did make the play late. I'll give him credit for that. But besides that, yeah.
But
that was terrible. I mean, that was terrible inbounds defense by Penn State too, by the way. I mean, he drove straight down the middle of the lane.
Didn't hit his patented step back late in this game at all.
No.
But, I mean, even great players have off nights, Kyle. You need some help from someone else. And, I mean, they got Cooper in the first half, but what did Cooper finish with? I know he had a big play in the second. It was our play of the game. But,
but he had, because he had 4 threes at half. Did he have like 14 points at halftime?
Yeah, we'll go down to the first half. So he had 12 at halftime.
12. Okay, so just the 4 threes. And then what did he finish with? He finished with 18 or something?
Yeah, he finished with 18.
Okay. So, yeah, he basically had the and one and then one more.
And I'm looking through these stats, just kind of skimming. I don't really see much of a difference from half 1 to half 2 in any stat. Like, I don't know that there was anything different about the first half. Or was there anything that you noticed different from the first to the second half?
Not really, no. I mean, Cooper hit a couple of shots that he didn't normally hit or hadn't been hitting this season. But besides that, there were 2 pretty identical halves.
You don't expect him to go 8 of 10 from 3. And, Sturts was 4 of 10 in the first half. Josh Reed went off in the second, but he was 3 of 6 in the first. I mean, I think the biggest difference was just,
what did Penn State shoot in the first half? What was their shoot?
They shot 57%.
Okay, so so it was even better. But both halves it was. I mean, that 57% is not acceptable either.
How about this? Second half they shot 72%.
Oh my gosh! What was that? Is that 13 of 18?
Yeah.
From 2? Oh 70. My gosh!
Well, no, that's second half.
13 of 18 overall. So
they were from 3 there, and 3 or
4. Oh my gosh!
They missed more.
Oh
yeah.
If they hold them to 60% shooting in the second half, they win.
Look at Josh Reed's numbers in the second half. Played 19 and a half minutes, 6 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line, 3 rebounds, 18 points, 3 assists, 1 steal. Those are all just second half numbers.
Oh, I want to cry. That's horrible. That's horrible.
It's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Yeah.
There's one guy on their team 2 guys there that missed any shots at all. Right? They had, was it 2 or 3 guys there that missed any shots at all in the second half?
Yeah, DeLeon actually missed 2 shots.
He missed 2. Right. Eli Rice missed 1, and then Mingo missed 2. Right. But they had 4 guys in the game.
I mean, look at
2 of them took 1 shot.
Ivan Juric's stat line. That's ridiculous too in the second half. 7 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, and by the way, he was 3 of 3 from the field.
That's a joke. That is a joke. Let's see. What was Bennett's plus minus for the game? I mean, I guess he's playing the whole game, so it's
he's playing the whole game. What are you talking about?
Okay, so -2. So he didn't sit. Yeah. What about what was Housen's plus minus?
Manya's was the best, +5. Housen's was +5.
Okay. And Fulgaris was -15.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he's coming off this great performance in Ohio State, and he comes out here 2 of 6 from the field. And by the way, what was one of those was a breakaway. He did not play well at all.
Not at all. That's brutal. That's hard to look at. That is like
72%
those are
second half.
That's like, I mean, you'd shoot 72% in a game of 2K. That's what you do. That's the only place I've seen that kind of number.
Do me a favor. You send those stats over to me, those raw stats, and I'll tweet them out. Let's get those out there because those are some impressive stats. Let's get to our next caller. We got Lemansky here with us in hour 2. Lemansky, thanks for hanging tight.
Hey, gentlemen. I don't know if I mimic the fan base, but I might. I'm more sad than angry. I'm just sad. And I think I'm sad because I think our expectations have been messed with. And I think our expectations started to climb non-Big Ten. Then you get in the Big Ten, and my only certainty is that I just don't think we have the personnel. And Banks may be hurt. Somebody said it might be his ankle. He's kind of gone backwards. But the only thing I can add to this show, because so many things have been said by other people, that I'm going to bounce to. I saw just one bit of questions to Ben, and I think we got the right coach. You ever played cards and you know what you're doing with playing euchre or poker, and never get the cards and you do the best you can and you kind of hang in there, but there's no way in hell you can win the game? I think Ben doesn't have a full deck on his roster. Like, his comments is probably what I can add to your show, is that somebody said already, but it says we can't guard one-on-one tonight, and that's what burned him. So he talked about we have to maybe go heavier to help defense that open up the three-point shot for the other team. Doesn't that scare the hell out of you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard that and I thought, where is the freaking tequila?
Yeah.
And Kyle, you done such a good job with your stats. I thought you just boggles your mind with Ben's comment, but it's probably accurate. We can't shoot the damn ball on offense. We can't. One of the things I have to go back, that maybe you guys understand it, but I have to go back and listen to him. I find him fascinating. Can't defend Fran based on win and losses, but I really enjoy Ben's post-game intellectual comments. And he doesn't get too high or low, but he talked about we lacked a big guy on the offensive actions to make the proper pass at the proper time. I'm probably butchering his comment, but I got to go back. And I know somebody said they thought the flow was good on offense, but that comment from Ben says we're lacking personnel again. Then to play Hawson, that tells me we're lacking personnel. I mean, he's just getting desperate. He's putting Hawson in there, and we all know that, God, we wouldn't do that. We'd put the freaking guy handling the water bottles in. But,
well, and it's not Hasen's fault. It's not Hasen's fault at all, Lemansky, because
I didn't say it was, though, Corey. I just said he doesn't have personnel. I'm not blaming him, and just don't put me in that corner.
Well, Hasen, I don't know. Hasen, we expected Hasen to be a major part of this team. In fact, I think a lot of people expected him to come here and start. And obviously that hasn't happened. I expected him to give Iowa more than just jacking threes. I thought he'd at least be competitive on the defensive end. But the stats in conference play, especially like what Kyle, I mean, I know he was giving you raw stats, not adjusted for competition, but the stats in conference play give you indicators that this team is not anywhere close to where Ben needs him to be defensively. So you could say it's a miracle they've won 10 games in conference, but give Ben credit, because if they don't have the horses, Lemansky, he's still figured out a way to get this team to 20 wins. That's an amazing accomplishment. And let's just be happy this was not the last regular season game, although they have two beanstalk opponents in front of them. That means they have two opportunities before postseason play to try to figure some of this stuff out against good competition, great competition.
I like your comment about 20 wins, and I mentioned playing with our expectations. You know, when you don't have a lot of experience, you haven't played together, and you open the season and said we're going to have 20 wins, I think we'd all just smile and say, I can handle that. Then our expectations went up. And now we're getting kicked in the teeth by Penn State, and I hate them anyway because of football.
I didn't expect their defense to be. I'd be totally fine if it was just like Bennett is the only guy, they just can't get offense consistently, which is true. What's frustrating to me is that these guys aren't better defensively right now, because they showed signs of being really good defensively early on in the year, like against Iowa State. They were excellent on defense, and like Iowa State's not this juggernaut offensively, but they're really good in Hilton. And I would just think this late in the year, a team coached by Ben McCollum, even guys who are below average from an athletic standpoint, like Fulgaris and Hasen, would at least be able to be good defenders. But they've got guys right now, like collectively, that are not just not good. You could argue some of these guys are bad. The numbers say they're bad. You can't be that bad as a team and not have bad individual defenders, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the Big Ten and men and women's are really tough. I'm hoping this year in the Big Ten with the men, it's really an elite conference. I don't know if it is till we get into the big time tourney, but if you compare it to the women's depth, I mean, you got Journey Houston as a freshman that's reaching star status in her first year. The women has some depth besides Journey, and I think when you go long term, I just don't think we have the cards for Ben to play decent poker. I think and I made the Howson comment, but it could be anybody on the bench. Can we bring somebody in to give Sturts a little rest? I don't buy this stuff that he can play 40 minutes at 95% level or whatever. Remember him holding his back today? I mean, he just gets banged around like a pinball.
Who do you bring in for him?
You can't. He's out of cards. He can't. We don't have any cards to play in the Big Ten. That's the problem.
And the Big Ten is the key because he was doing this. He did
that.
This.
That's my question too. And Lemansky, you can chime in too. But Corey, like when you're talking defensively, offensively, like we talked about this after the Purdue game on the post games. Like we're saying, like, okay, they're not getting good shots. They don't have great defenders individually. It's like my question is where are their advantages? Like if you had to say, because a lot of times teams have kind of, they have set plays, but they also have shots that they're trying to get to, within the offense for certain players. When your star player, Bennett Sturts' step back might be one of them that he's trying to get to. Bennett Sturts mid-range, but I struggle with with a lot of great teams, when you have great players and great weapons, you can go through in your head and you can say, okay, this is like the number 1 shot I'd like to get. This is the number 2 shot I'd like to get. This is the number 3 shot I'd like to get. So again, just to give an example, go back to like that Cavaliers team in 2016. You would love to see a Kyrie Irving dribble penetration. You'd love to see a Kevin Love catch and shoot 3. You'd love to see a LeBron James isolation on the wing. Like
Ray Allen
for the Cavaliers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking LeBron with the Heat. You said Kevin Love. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But you know what I mean, though. You had those kinds of guys where you said, okay, that's an obvious shot that like late in the game or at any point in the game, I would love for the ball to end up in X player's hands on this position on the court. I don't know where they have that, and I'm not trying to criticize them. I'm just asking the question, like, where, because in the NCAA tournament and late games, this is why I think they struggle so much late game execution. There's not that obvious, like, this is our advantage, whether it's athletic, whether it's, speed,
it needs to be like either Koch from 3 in the corner or Banks on the low block or Fulgaris, a post up with Fulgaris, but the problem is those options just have not been consistent at all.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is like, did Kyrie Irving, for example, have a bad stretch of games at a certain point? Of course he did. But late in a game, if the ball was in Kyrie Irving's hand at the top of the key and he was dribble penetrating on a defender, whether he was hot or not, you felt good about that shot. Like, do any of us feel good right now about a semi-contested Cooper Koch 3 in the corner game to game? Like, no, I don't. Do any of us feel consistently good about a Tavion Banks post up game to game?
No, because he doesn't finish well around the rim.
Exactly. So it's like, even if those are your shots, I don't know that I have a lot of faith in them. Like in those particular shots, and those are supposed to be your go-tos.
I think this team could take a huge jump everywhere but Sturts next year, just because they're so wildly inconsistent. But they all have shown flashes, and that's why I think this team could actually be better offensively next year. And I don't think it's much of a debate because they're not great offensively this year.
They're better than they are defensively.
Well, they'll take a big. I think they could take a big jump in both next year, depending on what they get in the portal. They
could. They're
Kyle, you're supposed to make me feel better. You gave me those old stats, and I feel far worse than the beginning of the game now.
They don't lie. Yeah, they don't lie.
If you want to feel better, I'll tell you what. I'll get Kyle your number, and he'll call you tonight, and he'll read you a bedtime story. That'll make you feel better.
321st in 2-point defense.
I'll end up at the bar.
Yeah, there you go.
It's what really scares me, if with 8 minutes to go, I think I got the time right, Sparty would have went to the rim. We were either in the double bonus or the bonus. Penn State wasn't. With 8 minutes, we had that edge. Then we piled all these fouls, and I'm going like, you know, when you play
we have nobody to attack the rim except Bennett and maybe Tavion.
Lemansky, they're 184th in free throw generation. So
Alvaro can attack the rim too, but Alvaro has to do it his way. Tavion and Bennett are really the only guys off the dribble that I would sort of be okay with trying to attack the rim on.
And I think Sturtz has done that more just because how people have scouted him. You know, you look at how he's tried to drive lately in the Big Tens, but that's our lack of cards. Here we got an advantage. It's such a clear advantage. I thought we'd win the game at that moment, and we can't even take advantage of a big opportunity because we have a lack of card. Exactly, Corey. You're right. You're exactly right, Corey.
I thought they were going to win when they were up 67-62.
I did too. And I sent it. I put in the Discord before the game. I said, this is going to be a battle down to the stretch. And I think it'll be a close game either way. But
I expected a close game, even though I did not expect Iowa to go there and throttle Penn State.
No.
No. Do you guys have any feel for the Big I'm scared of the Big Ten tourney. I'm scared to death. What do you think of the bigger tourney? What do you think this team will be like?
I want to see them. I got to see them against Nebraska and Michigan, because even if they lose both those games, how they play will really dictate how I feel about this team. I need to see 2 more games. If I see another good performance and then bad performance, I have no idea. But if they can put together 2 really good performances, even if they're both losses, it'll make me feel a lot better. But it's got to start.
If I had to put you on the spot, Corey, and you had to pick the Michigan game, what would you pick and by how many?
I'll probably take Michigan by. Well, what I want or what I think. I'll take Michigan by 10.
What you think?
Michigan by 10.
Okay.
And then Nebraska, I'll take Nebraska by 10 as well.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I'll go.
Go Lemansky.
No, Kyle, I'm interested in you more than me.
Well, I'm gonna take Michigan, and I'm gonna take them by 12 to 15 in that range. I think that's a tough matchup for Iowa and a really, really good team. I'll take Nebraska by 5 on the road.
See, I'm going the over on both of you on Michigan and the under on both of you on Nebraska. But I hate Nebraska.
I do too. I wish with all my heart and soul I could pick Iowa straight up, but I can't.
I just want to go there and get in a kind of a verbal
altercation. I don't like either. I can't stand either program. I can't stand either athletic department. Michigan? Yeah, are you kidding me? Michigan?
Nebraska, Corey. Nebraska.
I know they're both horrendous.
Little red.
Corey, I can straighten you out. Just listen to some Nebraska podcasts. And
and you know what I'll say, Corey? You know what I'll say is I'm actually really thankful, not only for the Nebraska upset and all that stuff, but for what happened at the end there, because Fred Hoiberg finally gave me a reason to dislike him, because I couldn't dislike him up until that. And now I have a little bit of a reason.
All these people have come to his defense, including Iowa fans.
Ridiculous. Insane. Ridiculous. Watch the video. He was 5 feet away from him, 4 feet. He had to step forward to slap the phone.
It's funny because I took a picture of that and posted it on social media, Kyle, and I had a lot of Nebraska fans. I get Nebraska fans saying, that's a screenshot. Go 1 more second in the frame. I'm like, bro, your screenshot doesn't exist. Go post the screenshot where he gets real close to Fred's face. It never happened.
No, it never happened. Never happened. And he didn't say anything particularly vulgar either. What did he say? Nice game, buddy, or something? Like,
that's a good point. That's what
it wasn't like he was.
We're not defending the idiot, but
but as a coach, he should have been better than that. That was not appropriate for him to do that. The whole pacemaker thing too at the end was insanity. That's ridiculous.
But then if you say something about that, then you're a horrible person.
Oh, you're bad, but you don't know what he's gone through. Like what he probably holds his phone in his hand, 100 times a day.
They do. You're telling me they never have poolside style, poolside interview style with guys holding their phones, media people with their phones.
So what you're telling me is that somebody's tiny cellular device could kill him from 5 feet away, but a massive camera and a microphone in his face won't.
Let me turn you away from the phone thing for a second, because you've done such a beautiful job of beating that dead horse. I'm not. And I like beating a dead horse. I do it better than anybody.
Especially when it's a dead Nebraska horse.
Yeah, they're ugliest mules.
Yeah, and real quick, by the way, the VMS brings up a great point. I had also had people on social media saying, if you look at the view from the camera, who cares what the view from the? So you're telling
I don't
me,
care.
Wait, real quick. You're telling me you trust the view from the camera, not knowing whether it's zoomed or not zoomed. You trust that more than the view that actually
of the person showing the incident. Yeah.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Go ahead. Nebraska fans, man, unbelievable. Go ahead.
And I'm bouncing us off of Kyle because he said not the magic, but the narrative on Fred up until the BS. I call it BS. The action and the phone is the reason why he can defend his health. His dad, I worked on a multi-million-dollar project. His dad is the greatest, nicest, balanced guy you've ever seen. Fred put on Chris Street's number when he played for Iowa State. He started that to honor Chris Street, he put the uniform. The reason I'm not surprised that Fred went nuts is that competitor is deeply buried beneath the out veneer. If you don't think Fred would punch you in a game of one-on-one like Michael Jordan, but he's not playing
by
anymore.
The way, I don't.
Sorry to interrupt. By the way, Nick Martinelli for Northwestern just hit a buzzer beater to beat Oregon on the road or at home.
Minnesota just beat UCLA when UCLA needed that win. It's crazy.
Wow.
But I would just say this. I would just say this. What? Now I'm drawing a blank. Lemansky, you brought up the Martinelli thing. Now I got that in my head. Lemansky, what did you just bring up?
I'm not defending Fred. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, Fred.
I'm going off of Kyle just to make. I knew I wasn't going to say nothing, but
I have no issue. I have no issue with Fred doing what he did was not right. The student doing what he did was not right. What I have a problem with is all the morons that want to go on social media and defend, say, well, one side was right and one side was wrong. That's not how this works. That's called the mindset of people that black and white, everything's this side's right, this side's wrong. No, they were both wrong. And that's just the reality of it. What I have an issue with is the Big Ten not recognizing that and either forcing an apology or having some level of discipline. The fact that Fred went on after being able to have, cool down about it, he still didn't apologize. Iowa took the high road, apologized. I just think the whole situation is ridiculous. But anyways, Lemansky, anything else?
I'm glad you said that because I went into Nebraska podcasts even more, waiting for this other side of halfway balance. Never got it. And never got even close to it. And that's why I want to go to that last
Any
game.
Nebraska fan that wants to come on here and call me out, because all they'll do is hide behind a screen. I will debate you on this to the death because I'm just telling you, I'm not backing down on this. That is because it's very clear what happened. It's very clear what didn't happen. So anyways, Lemansky, thank you for being here, sir.
40 to 16, guys. 40 to 16.
I'm gonna go, but I appreciate your use. So if I go back too much into Hayden Friday and 25 years ago, please tell me to shut up because I'm a has-been and we got to get to the modern era.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Lemansky. All right. Iowa, Michigan, Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time on Peacock. T. Hink says, let's say they go 0-2 down the stretch, then win one game in the Big Ten tournament. Does that push us to the 10? Maybe.
No.
DeCourcy's got him at DeCourcy already had him at 9 today.
Yeah.
DeCourcy had him at 9.
I think that's the lowest one that I've seen though. I've seen 6 to 9. So I think they're about a 7 to 8, and then probably an 8 after today.
Probably a high 8, and now they're probably like a low 8, a high 9. And so, and these two, that's where I'm guessing. So, notwithstanding what everybody else does, I think right now, before today, they were probably low 7s, high 8s as far as seeding. After today, they're probably low 8s, high 9s. They lose these next 2 games, maybe they get to low 9, because other teams can creep up on them. Low 9s, then they lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. Even if it's a bad loss, the worst they can, I think, slide would be low 10s.
Yeah.
That's why
That's
why I say they're a lock. That's my perspective on this.
So you don't even think in that perspective that do you think there's a chance that they end up in the first 4 or no?
That's why I say low 10s. So that's very close to being on the 11 line. So it's possible, but I don't think they slip more than that. And that's worst case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really all depends on who they draw in that Big Ten tournament. If they draw, if they draw a quad 1 or a quad 2 game, those 2 losses, especially Nebraska on the road, that's not going to push the needle at all. Yeah. I would be surprised. Again, I don't know how much they care about margin, but like if they were to lose that game by like 5 to 8 points, I don't think that does anything for their seeding. And then Michigan, if they lost by 5 to 8 points, I don't think that really does much either. Michigan right now, per what a net rating we said was per 100 possessions on KenPom. Is that what it is? When they give this just the net rating?
That sounds right.
I think it's per 100. Michigan's plus 39.5, which is insane, by the way. And Iowa is plus 22. So they're saying it's about a 17-point spread on neutral per 100. So if I do my math correctly, Iowa has about 60 possessions instead of 100 per game. So you're looking at maybe like 10 or 11-point dogs on a neutral. And then at home, they give them 3 or 4 points. So they're about 8-point dogs. So yeah, I think as long as they stick around that spread, they're fine.
Folks, Penn State defeating Iowa 71-69 inside the sleepy Bryce Jordan Center in State College, Pennsylvania, in spite of an 18-point showing for Cooper Koch, who made 5 3-point field goals. He's our player of the game, Cooper Koch. 18 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3. The Hawkeyes will be back on the court on Thursday, so they'll get an extended break, not extended break, but a bit of a break here, and get some rest before senior night against the third-ranked Wolverines. That game will start at 7 p.m. Central Time, and much to the chagrin of a lot of Hawkeye fans, it will be televised on Peacock. Speaking of streaming services, the Iowa women will be back in action tomorrow at Wisconsin at 2 p.m. Central Time on Big Ten Plus. That is their season finale, their regular season finale. So we'll have live post-game coverage with Gasheen Alexander following that one. Folks, if you want to join the Discord, label your donation Discord. Just donate $5 for a month, $50 for an entire year. You can also just donate if you're so willing to support the show and sponsorship opportunities. Reach out to me, info@fromthehawkeyeofthestorm.com. info@fromthehawkeyeofthestorm.com. Let's go back to our phone line for our final word. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
It's Kyle Thompson.
Hey, Kyle Thompson.
How you guys doing?
Well, we are what we are 2 hours into this show. Yeah, we're all right. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Just
okay.
A very bad, tough loss, and I'm not happy about.
All right. Well, be sure you do something. Is it still sunny out? Get outside, get some sunshine, eat some of your favorite food. Do so in moderation, and let's hope the women play better tomorrow. You gonna watch the women's game tomorrow, Kyle?
Let's see if
what time do they tip off at?
I'm talking to the real Kyle Spence. I'm talking to Kyle Thompson. Kyle Thompson, you watching the women's game tomorrow, Kyle?
See if I could. I might do something else. There's one thing I want to talk about.
Okay, go ahead, Kyle.
Bad question, Corey.
Am I good to go?
You're good to go, man.
Yeah.
When I was after the game, I was looking at some of the Twitter. Some of the fans, they still keep talking about Fran. They're stuck in the past. Like they say, Fran would have lost that game, even though they'll give up many points. I'm just tired of people still talk about Fran. I just want to move on. This is a new era.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
I agree.
I agree as well.
I know it's year one under Ben, but I can't quit on him because it's only year one, and I'll give him like a few more years to see how he pans out. But he's doing better with more than less. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's definitely not time to throw in the towel.
And let's just see. how the rest of the season plays out. Try to. I know it's going to be very tough, but just try to get at least one more win before the tournament, and hopefully give a little spark in that.
All right, sir. We appreciate you calling in. Please call in tomorrow if you decide to watch the women's game.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You think Kyle's going to watch the women's game? Kyle. You think you will?
It doesn't sound like it. To his point, because I have kind of railed them with defensive statistics here this afternoon. Fran's teams, even when adjusted for quality of opponent, finished 174th in defense last year. So even as unfortunate and as bad as the defense has been for the last period of time, it is still nowhere. It's not even in the same category as a Fran defense yet. So we're still significantly better off with the new regime, and they're only 9 spots down offensively in the country. They were 19th last year. They're 28th this year. So it's not that's trade I'll make every day of the week.
All right, folks. We will talk to you tomorrow after Iowa, Wisconsin women's basketball tip at 2 p.m. Central Time, live postgame with myself and Kasheen Alexander, approximately 4 Central, right here on YouTube. For Kyle Spence, I'm Corey Bratta, and of course, for Gary Close as well. We appreciate his time. We'll talk to you tomorrow.